Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, Errol Spence is coming off a very, very impressive stoppage over Leonard Bundu. Check that video out if you haven't already. I'll leave it for you here in the annotations. I think if that's not a good indicator of the Thurman, of what happened to Thurman, I don't know what is, because Thurman had a hard time getting the awkward Bundu out of there. But anyway, this is not that video. This video is more for what happened as far as like the ratings, because the ratings for that fight, if you guys don't know, this was the highest rated PBC fight since PBC started, which, you know, it did 6.34 million views. That's what it peaked at. It did an average of 4.8 million views. So a lot of people are attributing that to the fact that the Olympics was going on just before this happened. The USA basketball team had just played Serbia in the gold medal game, and that's the sole reason why this fight was viewed so high. And obviously that played a major key, but let's keep in mind that I believe the numbers were that Errol Spence was able to keep 75% of that audience from the USA basketball game. So with that being said, you know, the fact that he was able to retain that many people, I think it speaks a lot to the excitement and the fighting style of Errol Spence. Because had he been someone who wasn't exciting or not, or someone who was not, you know, worthy of that slot, you know, then people would have just changed their channels and they would have watched ESPN or MTV or QVC or the Fishing Channel or the History Channel or whatever else. They would have watched something else. But he was able to maintain that audience. So what I'm saying is, I think PBC has something here with Errol Spence. I mean, you saw what happened. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm going to do a video on this later on. But Kell Brook, like literally after those numbers came up, not too far after, Kell Brook literally said, you know, I'll fight Errol Spence, which is something he really hasn't been too vocal about. But he was a lot more vocal about after those numbers came out. So Errol, I think this does great things for Errol as far as him making those competitive fights that everybody wants to see him in, because you know, we've heard Thurman say that he's got to work his way up. I mean, when you bring in numbers like that, I think, you know, you get more leverage in negotiations and stuff like that. So PBC, I've been critical of it in the past, and, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still very critical of PBC. You know, as far as like their matchmaking, my biggest problem with them is the fact that their top guys are not fighting each other. And I'm not saying that they gotta fight each other like every other week or even every month, but I would like to see those matchups happen more often. You know, like in the welterweight division, there should be a round robin tournament of some sorts. They should announce a tournament. You know, if you get like Amir Khan, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, you know, you throw in another guy in there. They gotta. I feel like they gotta do something of that nature to really bring the best fights and get the best ratings and maximize their brand recognition. So my question is, now that it's clear that they have something in Errol Spence, you know, with these ratings, that he was able to retain that much of the audience, can PBC capitalize off of that? Can they put Errol Spence in fights that are still entertaining, that are competitive, that captivate the imaginations of the boxing public? Because when we look at UFC and what they're doing, we have guys like Colin Cowherd saying that boxing is dead because of the Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz fight. I'm making a video on that as well. But the reason that we're getting narratives like that and the hype on UFC is that big is because the McGregor-Diaz fight was, number one, a desirable matchup, but it was a matchup in a fight that captivated the imaginations of fight fans. And boxing isn't a good, to me, like a lot of people say boxing is not in a good place. I think it's in a great place, because we have so many guys vying for the number one spot. And I bet, you know, boxing goes through cycles. Like my boy Jesse Robinson said, boxing goes through cycles. It goes up and it goes, you know, down and it goes way back up. And, you know, the sport still has a rather large fan base. And there's sometimes when it's hotter, where it stretches beyond just the hardcore boxing fan. And there's time when it's not. Right now, I think it's in a transition where they're building crossover stars. And for PBC, they gotta put together a fight that involves Errol Spence that will capture the imagination of the American public. Now, how do you do that? How do you put together a fight that intrigues people, that makes people want to say, I'm a fan of that guy, I want to buy his merchandise, I want to go to his fight. How do you do that thing? Well, you do that with personalities. Now, Errol Spence, as great of a fighter as he is, he doesn't have a sparkling personality. He's someone that when you look at his facial expression, it looks like he just got out of bed every time you see him. That's just his default setting. He's a calm guy. But you put him in with guys who have those personalities and can bring something out of him. And when we talk about personalities in the welterweight division, I think there's one thing that comes to mind, and that's Keith Thurman, and that's the matchup that most people want to see. So PBC Al Haymon, they gotta at some point. I believe that 2017 should be that time, because Errol is now in that stage where you can finally say he's no longer a prospect. He's now like a young contender. Keith's been a champion for a little bit now, and he's had his biggest fight with Sean Porter that did really well views-wise. So now that Errol did this, more people in America know his name. It would be great if this fight could be put together in 2017. I think this is the fight. PBC has a lot of great matchups they can put together, but as far as the guys within their own stable, this right here is the #1 fight that they need to put together, that being Errol Spence versus Keith One-Time Thurman. Because Thurman has the personality to get the casual fans drawn in. Errol Spence has the style to make the fight, to keep casual fans watching his fights beyond just when they see him for the first time. And Keith has a great style himself with a boxer, puncher type style. So it's a matchup that hardcore fight fans want to see, and it's a matchup that I think the casual fans will definitely come out in droves to see if PBC promotes it right, if PBC puts the proper money behind it, if they put it in the right venue. I don't think that that's a fight that should be held in Vegas or California. That's a fight that needs to be in New York City at the Barclays Center, which is where both these guys, Thurman and particularly Spence, have made their name, fighting in New York. They're making a good name for themselves, a good account of themselves at the Barclays Center, which is now becoming like the Madison Square Garden of this generation. It's a great venue. If you haven't gone there for a fight, I recommend it highly that you check it out for a fight. But yeah, this is a fight that I think they should make for sure. The 6 million views is nothing to scoff at, regardless if it was after the Olympics or whatever. So PBC has a great chance to do something great here at Errol Spence, and I hope for the sake of boxing they capitalize it and they get their top guys to start fighting each other more often. And yeah, man, I just want to get that off my chest. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.